So you've sent an image to your graphic designer for a project, and they are telling you that the file sent is too low of resolution for said project, or you're using one of those make your own design online applications, and you send it to print, and it comes back low quality and pixelated or blurry, but it looked so clear on your computer monitor or phone. Like that. You wouldn't think that if you put this does have a transparent background, and this is the background that the image viewer uses on Windows 11. Um, but yeah, there's nothing wrong with this. Looks pretty clear, and if I'm looking at it on my computer screen, it's actually taking up a lot of my screen. I would kind of think that this is actually pretty large, um, but it's not as large as you think. Your issue is resolution, and I think I have a way to show you what resolution is that will make sense without a design background, and remove your doubt when your designer or printer tells you that a file is too low of resolution. And if you find yourself here as a small business owner, you may want to also check out our video on vector versus raster, which was posted before this one. So what is resolution when we're talking about digital and physical design? Resolution is the number of pixels that are displayed per inch for an image when referring to computer monitors, or dots per inch when referring to print. The more pixels or dots per inch, the higher quality and higher flexibility of use of that image or graphic. So I think this is going to be the easiest way to show folks. I have a vector file right here, which I could use to process any size of image that I want to be able to use for these projects. And like I said, the vector versus raster video prior to this will give you a good handle on what this file is and why I'm able to process it to any size I want. So I have two different size files here, and I have a 1080 by 1080 and a 2400 by 2400. And again, both of them look perfectly clear on the monitor. Most computer monitors, you're probably looking at like anywhere from 72 to 96 pixels per inch. So things will look bigger on a monitor than they will once printed. An example of this. Here, I have that 2400 by 2400 pixel image, which is quite large. Like, I keep zooming in and it's not degrading yet. That's how big this is. This could be on a massive monitor and it would still look clear, giving you the illusion that it's quite large. But at 100% at 300 dpi, dots per inch, which is standard in print, okay? Not in web. You wouldn't have to have the same size for web. Again, we see that screen size, that this could be expanded a lot, and it's actually quite large. It's massive for, most uses for web. So once I put this at 100% though on an 8.5 by 11 that would be printed at 300 dpi, which would be standard, this is as big as it can be. It does fill that space, yes, but this is a 2400 by 2400 pixel 300 dpi image here, okay? So when you're grabbing images off the internet, that's not typically what you're grabbing. You're typically grabbing like a 72 or like a 72 ppi image, and it will say like it's 1200 by 1400. Well, if you think about that, that's much smaller than this, right? So we have this here, and to get 100%, so this is the 2400 by 2400. If you pop in the 1080 by 1080 pixel of the same resolution, 300 dpi image, this is all the space it takes up. So it's much smaller, okay? So what would happen is if I process this and I tried to make this larger, see I have 100% at 300 dpi, right? So if I process this and I try to enlarge it by just making it, say 300%, whenever it's processed to a PDF, it will actually look blurry because I've stretched it beyond 100%, okay? So the thing is that you've got to have the image at 100% at 300 dpi and it still work. So again, here we go. Like, this is a 1080 by 1080, 300 DPI image. That's as big as I can get it, and at 100%, which will keep it crisp, which is going to be required for print, is that 300 DPI mark, okay? So this is as big as I can have this image to make it look crisp, and that's a 1080 by 1080, which we know by looking before looks totally clear on a screen. If I get that image and I change it to the 2400, this is how big it can be, okay? Because again, the things we have to keep the same are 100 and 300. 300 DPI, 100% scale. Now we can go lower in scale if we need to, so it doesn't have to be sized beforehand. Someone could send me this, and if if they're like, well, we need it smaller on the thing, I can put it down to 30% and it's still going to be crisp, because at that point, I've got a really great resolution, right? I've got 1000 DPI, so that's excellent. That will definitely work fine with print. So one of the things I think gets confused is that sometimes people want to take web images and they pull them from the internet, and when they pull them from the internet, again, it will be like this, where it looks big on the screen, but you have to account for, with print, your screen that's displaying this stuff at 72 and 96 ppi, pixels per inch, is making those items look bigger. Once they are actually printed, to be crisp and to be clear, they have to be at least 300 DPI. And if you send something to a printer that is worth anything and that's going to warn you about these problems before they print it, which most will, they're going to let you know, like, hey, this is going to be pixelated, it's going to be blurry, it's not going to be crisp. You need to check the resolution of your images. But this also follows up again to that vector versus raster, and why you want a vector logo is if someone makes you a raster logo and you only have it to scale a certain amount, well, if you hand me that 1080 by 1080, well, if I'm going to keep it 300 DPI, this is as big as I can use my logo on anything, and this is only an 8.5 by 11 document, right? So much for having your logo big on a poster, so much for using your logo on a big banner. Like, you can't use it for any of those things because you can't have it scaled properly to match the resolution required to print it and keep it nice and clean. My hope is that this is clear from a visual standpoint and clear to folks who don't care to be graphic designers. That's why you hire people like me. But people that maybe sometimes feel like, well, every image I send is being rejected. And a lot of times what the issue is that those images are web quality images. They aren't print quality images. You need, like, web quality images will work for the web, and sometimes you can find some really large web quality images that will work fine for smaller things. Like, this is a 1080 by 1080. This is a web quality image, basically, but once you pop it into a print document, again, 8.5 by 11, this is all the space it can take up. Alright, thanks for watching, guys.